Welcome back, everybody. It's a pleasure to have you all back again. We will now be starting our next session, which is looking at the evolution of Wealth Connect and the future of wealth tech in the Hong Kong, Macau, Guangdong, Greater Bay Area. Moderating today will be Mr. Louis Poon, who's the Executive Vice Chairman of Association of Family Offices in Asia. Joining him will be Urszula McCormack from KWM, Professor Spencer Lee from O2O Technologies, Amy Zhang, Family Trust Specialist, and Ashwin, who's the Vice Chairman of AFO as well. So I'll hand over now to Louis to take this session forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody. We thank you very much for going to this Asia WealthTech Forum. So first of all, I think my name is Louis, and also I hold this panel. So I think first I will let each of the speaker will be introduced himself or herself. So normally we'll go lady first. So let's Amy start first. Thank you, Amy.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this forum. And it's been a very special year and a period for everyone to actually be able to carry on business and also start, the new 2021. Given that, what we've been through last year with the COVID situation, I think we're getting used to the momentum of having everybody online, and I see there are lots of audience today as well. I'm really glad today that I'm able to be, to share my insights and experience of how wealth and tech combined together. I think just a brief introduction of myself, that I've been working in the wealth industry for over 15 years. And then initially I was a private banker, helping lots of high net worth individuals from China, Taiwan, and in the Asian region with their investments. And then later, I moved to the space of wealth planning, and I'm now a family trust specialist, which I provide advice on how to protect their wealth and how to carry on the succession planning. And here I am. That last year, when I was, in this event, I was actually in Hong Kong, and recently I've just moved to Singapore. And I'm really looking forward to the new changes. So later on, I will share more with the audience about my experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. So for the next speaker, thanks for your. Sorry.
Thank
Serena.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Urszula McCormack. I'm a partner of King & Wood Mallesons. So we are a law firm that's headquartered in Asia and very much focused on the GBA. We have 5 offices in the GBA and a very large presence across mainland China, as well as through the region and beyond. I am a regulatory lawyer that covers primarily data and financial regulation, and I cover not only Hong Kong, but also a number of other jurisdictions in the region. The primary clients I work with are the large global banks, right through to the innovative firms doing things like token building, token exchanges, and working on novel tech solutions for large institutional or government clients. My interest in the GBA is very much about seeing this region expand, but also looking at how really novel ways of thinking about cross-border activities, cross-border financial products, cross-border data flows, money flows can operate. One of the big projects I'm working on is with the FSDC in looking at the implementation of the DCEP, digital currency, into Hong Kong and beyond. A really interesting topic, so I look forward to discussing these and many more things.
Thank you. So next one will be Professor Spencer Lee. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Professor Spencer Lee. I actively promote FinTech, blockchain, and digital transformation to the industries and public. I serve the advisory board of the London Institute of Banking and Finance by providing expert opinions on FinTech and blockchain. Luckily, I received the year 2020 Asia Futurist Leadership Award in this conference, and also Directors of Year's Award year 2019. I'm CEO of O2O Technology, one of leading digital payment companies in Hong Kong. It offers online and offline service, including digital payment, Visa payment, Octopus, Alipay, and WeChat Pay. Recently, I have published a journal paper in the subject of after COVID-19 next normal. There's a lot of new normals for us to encounter and transform them into opportunities and business ventures. For example, social distancing, enhancing online e-commerce business by offering better customer journey and experience. I believe that Hong Kong offers fintech companies an ideal upgrade for scaling operation in GBA. These far-growing markets are furnishing gateways between mainland China and overseas markets, making them a perfect platform for innovation and expansion backed up by Hong Kong. I have set up some companies in Shenzhen before. Since then, I have observed a huge demand on talent who come from all parts of China and Chinese graduates from overseas university. We do not worry on money issue, and only good projects and investment can attract sufficient funds and private equity. Nowadays, there's a lot of investment opportunity on high-tech innovation venture. I'm optimistic about the business opportunity in GBA, so that's why I'm here to share my viewpoint and opinions. Thank you.
Thank you, Spencer. So next one will be Ashwin.
Hello. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your participation. My name is Ash. I am with the AFO. I work alongside Eva with the AFO, mainly helping out our clients from the Asia Co-Investor Club, to be specific, on the club deals, facilitation, and DD, and things like that. To keep it short, I look forward to sharing some views on the tech and WealthTech and GBA, and also the discussion from the panelists. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ashwin. So let's kickstart for the first question, just after you listen all the speakers' introduction. So I want to ask to Amy, because she just mentioned he just moved to Singapore, but you know there's a lot of GBA, there's a lot of family offices or opportunity that we think there will be a lot new policies that are coming soon. So what you think, what type of services or some kind of effort revolution that you think that you're helping those family offices that they may be located in GBA?
Yeah, okay. Well, speaking of GBA, I'm actually quite honored that to tell everyone that I was actually, I grew up in Shenzhen. So, you know, I see the changes, you know, over the last 30 years, you know, when I grew up there and then I went to the UK to study. And every time when I go back to Shenzhen, I can see, you know, the up and coming, and I see the wealth is also growing there. A lot of the technology companies, you mean it like Tencent, you know, this is like the biggest in China, which actually dominate, you know, the business world and also the technology world. And it's based in, you know, Shenzhen as well. So from my point of view, that I service, you know, mostly high net worth individuals. In the last 10, 20 years, it started actually from business owners that mainly focusing on the property developments in China. And in the recent years, there are more and more clients that they generated their wealth, you know, from technology companies, from startups, you know, from gaming companies, you know, all those that actually related to technology, which is quite crucial in the daily world now, in the daily life now. I mean, for example, if you go to Shenzhen or if you go to travel to in China, a lot of the people don't carry their, you know, wallet. They just carry their phone. You know, everything will be, all the payments can be made, you know, through the phone. And even when you go to order, you know, this is all becoming very, you know, cashless. So you can see that, you know, these business owners, you know, they're making more money and generating more wealth, but at the same time, they're bringing new things to the world and becoming, you know, more convenience. And which I feel that there is a space, to servicing these people who has, suddenly, say, created a wealth, because of the company growing so fast, and then, we increasing demand of this kind of inquiries to actually protect their wealth using trust structures, for example, or using the sort of like company structures to actually hold different shares, which can maybe also help them to be listed, in Hong Kong or in Singapore or in the US. So their concerns actually becoming that, how can they actually preserve their wealth, in the right way and using the right structure. So the company I'm now working for is actually a global company that providing fiduciary services. So trust is also is one of the services that we provide. At the same time, that corporate structures is also very important. When you're also talking about helping the clients to preserve their wealth and also do a very proper and legal structure, you also need to look at the corporate structures that they created. So we work a lot with lawyers and bankers. In particular, we can see in the Great Bay Area, there are lots of the lawyers are also becoming very well and alerted, with the regulations and the policies or cross-border policies, and also even tax policies, when you go listing. So I mean, there's lots of changes, but we see there's a change of client profile, and the fast space of clients that they wanted to actually preserve their wealth using the right structure. And at the same time that, because the Great Bay Area is becoming so well known, and then a lot of people are looking at looking at how it's going to develop so fast. People call it is going to be the next Silicon Valley in Asia. The GBA area, they're also starting to adopting lots of policies. For example, in Qianhai, I know that in Shenzhen that they welcome accounting companies and legal firms that from Hong Kong, even from the common law countries to actually establish there, and then they give incentives to these companies and tax incentives to these talents, to actually adopt the system, which is the same accounting system and same legal system, so that it can actually work and then transit the business into an international framework. So we also have companies branches set up in Shenzhen and Foshan, in particular. Yeah, so in particular to meet this demand from the clients.
Okay, thank you, Amy. So Amy just touched on base about the legal regulations, but we all know that when some location or region, if they want to do the revolution, normally they start thinking of the law and regulation. So I want to let Urszula talk about a little bit, share about what you expect on the changes as well the regulation on the Wealth Connect or what we saw WealthTech in the.
Yeah, thank you very much. What an interesting topic. And I should say that I work alongside specialists in multiple areas. So if we're talking about cross-listing of ETFs, a lot of our funds team are looking closely at that. So what I want to talk to you about is, big picture trends, big picture trajectories for this arena, and really why and where and how around these structures. And I want to do so by taking us back to when really private wealth in Asia was touted as, really the next big thing. And that was around about the sort of 2010 mark, where there was a real market shift in terms of the overall wealth that was gathering in this region, and a real view that things like private banking were going to be, the real growth area for these markets. And and that sort of thinking did evolve and change over time. But what we saw at that time was this heavy element of structuring. And, I'm glad that Amy raised that, because it is and has been such a big part of how, really people have looked at being able to move and participate, in the different economies. And, we saw things like insurance, investment-linked insurance products, become really hot for a time there, and many of you might remember this, and that part being shut down. We've seen parallel trading systems of cash and gold to enable the movement of money. We've seen, actual bags of cash, moving across border. And, we were asked at that time, what as a bank, how should banks be treating that sort of, cross-border cash movement? We've seen in a lot of the sectors that I cover, in the crypto sector, also, ways of structuring or participating in a different sort of economic way in a bit of a different or a roundabout mechanism. And I think that was all at a time also when we were talking about the internationalization of RMB. We were talking about China, opening up quite significantly on a global scale. And that then contracted, and now we really have the real move forward in this framework of the GBA. And what's especially important about this is that there is a common thread behind these trends in the GBA, and there are very specific goals behind this. And those key goals are to continue opening up financial markets in this area, number one. Number two is promoting the cross-border trade and investment, and that's where Wealth Connect really fits in. Thirdly, it's increasing connectivity of the area's financial markets and infrastructure, and also building out certain financial markets that may not have existed, particularly to diversify certain areas as well. If you look at Macau, that's a big driver. Number four, promoting financial innovation, very important for those of us very closely involved in technology. And then finally, preventing cross-border financial risks. And that includes looking at how we manage to still respect cross-border currency controls, still respect cross-border data controls within this new environment. And so really with each of the initiatives, there is a very precise legal structure around them to really foster, to achieve these goals, but also to make sure that the downside risks, are also protected. The other key thing to know about them is, yes, when we establish something like Wealth Connect, there's a lot of care put into things like how custody works, how payment flows work, and also which products are accessible and who is able to access these things as well. And so there are quite finely tuned rules around, what, and how to participate in something like Wealth Connect. And it isn't just open market to be able to invest in anything and for really anybody to come through. So it is limited to residents of the GBA. There are quota limits. There are requirements around the eligibility around financial assets as well. So that is really important to know. And I think it really speaks to another point that Amy raised, which is about trust, making sure that this works before any sort of, possibility of expansion, takes hold. The other point to that is that it will be, simple products to start with. And I think that is something that is relevant to the private wealth sector that can sometimes be looking for exposure to perhaps a more complex products as well. That some of these initial connects, whether it's Wealth Management Connect, whether it's the dual listing of ETFs cross-border, is generally intended to still create an element of safety around those investments. So I'm going to pause there, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more to talk about later.
Thank you, Urszula. So now we come to the next topics about the technology, because we talk about trust, about legal, but in GBA, because all we think we were the next Silicon Valley. So hopefully, Professor Spencer Lee can share a little bit more about the technology point of view, what you see the revolution.
Thank you, Luis. So I just want to give you a few figures related with GBA. In GBA, it covers 9 cities in Guangdong province. The population is 22 million people living here, and also the GDP per capita is talking about $23,000 per year. So it's a huge market for us to understand GBA. But for my research and also my business related matters, I'm more focused on the digital payment cross-border. And also I heard 2 speakers talking about the cross-border, how to manage a fund outside of China, also doing the digital payment among the cross-border is very important, because Hong Kong is playing a very important role as an international financial center. However, I want to cut it short during this panel. There's 2 aspects I want to address. The first thing is innovation management. The second thing is digital transformation. Because according to our China government initiative, there's a major purpose setting up of a GBA is to build an innovation hub or global technology hub here. So being the Hong Kong, I'm Chinese, so I think that innovation management will be a good business area for Hong Kong people to come into the China in the GBA area, because we have we treasure the intellectual property right. We do a lot of we talk with a lot of businessmen or deal with a business deal with foreign countries. So that's why innovation management will play an important role for Hong Kong tech guy come to China to enter. I can't say that Hong Kong people is not intelligent compared with China young people. But however, Hong Kong people is more flexible and do something more in a legitimate way manner rather than in China way. Of course, in China way, they already go a very good GPA per capita for the whole country. In coming 5 or 10 years, our president Xi Jinping, he said that he want to build a wealthy middle class population in China. So that's why there's still a strong need in the innovation management, particularly from the middle management to the high management or business owner. We can attract more foreign investment come to China, particularly GPA. Another perspective I want to share with you is digital transformation. I found out some interesting point during the COVID-19. However, I invented a model called after COVID-19 ABCDEF effect model. So in some day I can share my article in a journal in New York, just recently published in this month. So the ABCDEF effect, what does it mean? It means we make use of artificial intelligence, blockchain, big data, customer experience, and also digital transformation, and also emotion and finance fintechs. This cover ABCDEF. So I believe Hong Kong people or other friends from Singapore, Australia, we can have our advantage in this ABCDEF effect. Why? Because we deal with always deal with international business and also talk with a lot of international cooperations. So this we can focus on it. Don't be frightened about GBA. GBA can help the whole world to grow, not particular Hong Kong. And the last point I want to point out that why we can implement a very successful, I believe we can implement very successful information hub in GBA, including Hong Kong. Why? Because we have very good infrastructure, as Urszula said, that we have a very innovation infrastructure. We have 5G, very good 5G, the the world's largest high-speed express train across the whole country. So the 5G and also the high-speed train can enable the smart city everywhere in China, even in the borders. So that's why I hope that after this conference, more investors can come to China. Don't be afraid of different legal system, because the China have one of the initiative. The China government want to practice more and more more openness in the legal or in the fundraising or in the wealth management in the GBA areas. So this concludes my remarks. Sharing.
Thank you, Professor Spencer. So now come to Ashwin. So Ashwin is doing more about deal flows for AFO. So what you see on especially those areas when you see on a GBA perspective.
You're on mute, Ashwin. Ashwin, you're on mute.
Okay, oops, let's start again.
Line of 2021.
What Professor Spencer Lee said. This Wealth Management Connect scheme, I think it's a good thing because, as Spencer said, there's 20+ million people in the 9 cities, Hong Kong, Macau. It's definitely going to open up cross-border. The connectivity is going to be a huge thing. As Urszula said, with the regulations, there are some things that need to be taken care of, especially how to handle disputes and things like that. That's going to take time, but it's definitely an advantage for Hong Kong. The customer base is going to increase. The business development is going to definitely increase. From a technology point of view, there is over 500,000 customers high net worth in the GBA area, and the recent trend through the millennials. Let me focus on the millennials for a second. They're all entering the workforce either as a clients, children's, grandchildren of the family office, or wealth managers themselves. I think they've got to embrace tech. As our panelists said, and as the previous speakers mentioned before, you've got to embrace tech, because it's not just about the retail banks anymore. You've got big tech firms, the likes of Amazon, Ant Financial, etc. I'm sure they're rolling out infrastructure already. In 1 or 2 decades, things will change. If you need to keep the innovation inside. And Eva said before, the relationship managers might not completely disappear. I mean, you still need that personal touch for sure. I don't think an app can approve a $100 million asset loan for sure. It's not going to happen. But for that 5-10% clients, you still need that personal touch. But for the other 80-90%, especially the millennial RMs that are coming into place in the next few years, it's going to be very, very tech-based. And I think if you just put it simply, the firms that don't adapt, I think will fall much, much behind. We might see a much more increase in non-banking banks, if that makes sense. Banking will still exist for banks, or if they innovate and adapt, yes.
So thank you, Ashwin. So time is a little bit tight now. So just want to get a quick wrap up. So would you mind, Amy, just give 2 minutes wrap up what you want to share with the group?
Well, it was actually good to actually be in this panel because it's actually giving me lots of thoughts and ideas that I think Ashwin just mentioned, in the wealth management industry, it's a very personal service industry. But like I just mentioned, that because of our client profile has actually changing as well, because of their professions, and also we're servicing not just the older generation, but also the second, the third generation who are very wealth alert or tech alert, I would say. Maybe before we're using paper to fill out the forms, now they wanted to actually have something more technology friendly, more everything probably wanted to be able to be conducted or completed online on the phone. I mean, we work with companies that actually do trading, that you can just do all your tradings and do the investment online. So it's just really that I think all the financial services nowadays need to really face the changings of the world, and also to meet the flavor or the taste of the clients, to actually to be more upmarket, or to be more up speed. So I just wanted to say that a lot of the companies will actually invest a lot more than before on the technology, to develop softwares, to be able to actually make it more client friendly. But at the same time, that I think because of the technology that actually give us some inconvenience, maybe some apps does not synchronize with a particular website. So this is something we also need to aware and experience, and also we need to pay attention to the data privacy. When we send paperless documents, maybe we need to actually have it with the password, and all these things that we're experiencing. I just want to share that we're meeting the client's need, and we're growing together with the clients. And I think we're all facing challenges, but I think we are very excited to meet all the challenges.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. Yes, also echo for say the technology, like the virtual banking that's launched in Hong Kong. So when I open the first virtual banking account, it just takes a few minutes. So it's quite when you compare with go to the branches. So hopefully we will get more technology. So now, Urszula, can you also share with us on a
Yeah, of course. So I'll address the two questions that have come in because I think they're great ones. And the first one was, digital world, how do you think a startup can scale without expanding physically? And the very first starting point is make sure that your product, your service is solving a problem, or it's really galvanizing and leveraging, an opportunity, because there are so many in the region, in GBA, but also through broader emerging economies in Asia. And there is a significant amount of opportunity in fixing those pain points, not necessarily just looking at the sort of shiny end product. But there are also wonderful industry associations and also hubs. FinTech Asia, obviously, but also things like the FinTech Association of Hong Kong. There are many of these associations. They're great ways to connect with others, and then also form those linkages that become important for your business. Contributing to those fora also is an incredibly good way to really immerse yourself in that industry. And increasingly, we're seeing large institutions becoming part of those associations as well. The second question here is around, given that there is a disparity in standards, might be different standards, lower, higher, between GBA centres. How is that grappled with these connects? And generally speaking, what we see is that when there is a connection with an end customer, the home rules generally apply to that. But one interesting trend that we're really seeing is the creation of these trusted intermediaries that will span, both boundaries of mainland and Hong Kong and also Macau. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Urszula. So also like because what is ABCD. So hopefully you can give me a more insight or wrap up for next time when we looking forward to meet you again.
Hello. So I think being an investor and businessman, the critical success factor is a fast-growing market with opportunities in GBA. China just entered the RCEP with 15 countries, including the 10 countries, 10 ASEAN countries, and China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. So this is a golden opportunity for us to build an innovation value chain. This innovation value chain, including the ABCDEF effects already. We can work on the R&D center, fundraising, professional service, and IPO, M&A, due diligence, consultancy, and also particular technology fund and bonds can be set up to nurture innovation in GBA. I think that this will be the global value chain for all kind of businessmen and tech guys to come to China via the GBA gateway. I think that in the coming years, a lot of China government policies and incentives can come out to boom the GBA to be the largest Bay Area in the world, I believe. So this only my little bit supplement.
Thank you, Professor Spencer Lee. So last but not least, Ashwin.
Yes, funny. To keep it short, I think ultimately this GBA, the Wealth Connection Scheme that's just started, is a great thing. We're still in the early stages, but it is certainly a great thing. We have lots of new FinTech, Hong Kong-based FinTech banks in the up-and-coming uprising. But as I think Amy said before, and also Urszula touched on, client focus is a must. Absolutely. Clients' expectations are increasing. The digital acceptance is a normal. The client's needs to wrap it up 24/7, basically, anytime, anywhere. And that means building good apps, good usable apps that the customer wants, not perhaps what the bank sees. Disruption is inevitable, but I think it's a good thing also. But touching on data breach, what Urszula was talking about before, and we're talking about the big tech firms, I think we could also have a key takeaway that when it comes to data breach and privacy, we have to be really transparent so we don't lose the trust of the people with what's happening recently with the big tech companies. I think the WealthTech companies have a great learning point for free, looking at the American big tech companies with the data breach. But ultimately, I think if you focus on the customer, everything is going to be good. Not to mention, this digital trend has been hugely accelerated by the COVID distancing rules. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. Thank you, Ashwin. Thank you all the panelists for giving us quite a good sharing on that. So I give back the stage to Urszula.
Thank you so much, Lewis. Really appreciate your wonderful moderation and deep insights. We've covered a lot of points from regulation to ABC to big tech as well as the millennials. So very comprehensive. I know we had a short time, but we could speak days about the GBA and the potential for private wealth in the space. So thank you, everybody. We'll be starting the next session, which will be focusing on revolution of digital assets and impact on private wealth, starting off with the session by Wayne Trench, CEO of OSL. Please give us a couple of minutes and we'll start getting the next session on. Meanwhile, you can go backstage and, go to the lounge and interact with other delegates. Thank you, and we'll be back soon. Thank you.